Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. This week, we're going to be recapping a good race at Nashville, which I was in attendance for, so you get a first-hand perspective on that. Preview the Chicago Street Race, first ever street race in NASCAR history, and I think it's got the potential to be pretty wild, and should be a good atmosphere there. And we'll break all that down and more. Before I get into the race in action, there at Nashville, I wanted to just start off by saying that I love going to Nashville Super Speedway. We've made the trip, me, my son, and some friends, and my mother have all made the trip to Nashville the last 2 years. Of course, last year we had that rain delay, washed it out till the night, and this year they started it at night, and that was a great move. It cooled off, and luckily the rain stayed away, which was honestly really shocking. But I know there was chance for thunderstorms all evening, but the rain stayed away. Mother Nature was good to us this year. I guess we deserved it since we dealt last year with the rainouts and stuff. So overall, a great atmosphere. Me and my son went down pretty early on Sunday and got to meet some drivers that I usually meet a lot of drivers. He doesn't get to meet as many usually. And I saw that Noah Gragson was doing a meet and greet at a Black Rifle coffee booth there at the track. And Noah's one of his favorites and one of mine also. And we had a good time. Talked with Noah for a little bit about collecting die casts, and my son really enjoyed meeting him, and he was super nice to us. So I want to give a shout out to Noah. I know he hasn't had the year that he would like his rookie season, but I think he will improve when Legacy MC switches to Toyota. And we also met Eric Jones, and my son wanted to meet him, so got some stuff signed, and those guys were really nice to us. And I just love seeing the smile on my son's face when he gets a new car, a new toy car, or meets the drivers. And he really enjoyed it, and so did I. And I definitely recommend going to Nashville for if you want to go check out a race. It's a good one. It's almost a 1.5 mile. I think it's 1.33 miles, and good racing all over the track the whole time, especially in this next gen. You got battles going on all over the track, and if you're a racing fan, there wasn't too many wrecks. So if you consider that to be a good race, I don't know if I would go to Nashville because you're not going to see too many wrecks, but just good, solid stock car racing, man. There's battles all over the track constantly, whether it's for 20th or for the lead. And so I definitely give Nashville a thumbs up, and I can't wait to go to Atlanta in a couple weeks. Be back in Atlanta. I went last year, both races, and I love what they've done. They've changed a 1.5 miles into a super speedway. I know some people don't like that, but I think it's going to continue to be a success. So I'll be back there, and maybe can get some more autographs and that type of thing. But I just want to shout out Noah. He's super nice. If you are looking to get into NASCAR and cheer for a driver, Noah Gragson is the guy that I would suggest you cheer for if you're coming into the sport at first. And with that, we're going to get right into the actual race part of it. Started off pretty good. Not much really happening. Kyle Busch had a flat tire early. He was running in the top 10, and said he had a right front down, and came in, and one of his tires on the right side was flat. So that was a good call by him. Definitely helped him. It basically saved his race. If he's running out there and it's flat and he hits the wall, he's probably done. But he ended up coming back and finishing, I think, ninth, which, I mean, he had to pass 1,000 cars to get there. He had trouble. He was involved in an incident later that we'll talk about too, and so that car was definitely dialed in and good. Just had several issues. Then after he pitted under green, we had our first cycle of green flag pit stops. Nothing really crazy happened. No wrecks. I was actually shocked, especially with how crazy the Xfinity race was, that we didn't have any spins coming onto pit road or anything. Which these cars are really gripped up, different tires, bigger brakes. That played some into it too, but then you just got to realize these Cup drivers are dang good. They're professionals for a reason. They're at the top of their game, and that has a lot to do with it too. The first eventful thing, and I got up and cheered when this happened for obvious reasons, but a lot of people did. It wasn't just me. Noah Gragson leaning on Ross, making it super hard for him to pass, or to keep the lead, actually. And Noah's trying to stay on the lead lap. He can race him as hard as he wants to. He never got a chance to give him payback for the stuff that happened at Kansas, and I really enjoyed watching this battle. Good hard racing. Reddick ended up getting the lead from Ross because of that little incident and goes on to win stage 1. And Reddick, up to this point, looked like the best car. He was flying. I said last week I thought the Toyotas were going to be the most dominant. Other than winning the race, I think they were. I think that was a pretty valid prediction. Denny ran well, led several laps. Martin Truex led several laps. Reddick led early. I think I'm going to say that prediction was pretty good. And even though I didn't get the winner right, Denny finished third. I thought at one point I was going to go buy a lottery ticket if I went 2 for 2 picking him to win, and he won. And he didn't have the grip that he needed throughout the long run, and that kind of caught up to him. Martin seemed like he was faster than him all night there. I know Denny won the second stage, but Martin just looked quicker, seemed quicker. I don't know if he had more grip or what happened, but good solid run for Denny and all the Toyotas, honestly. The only one that shocked me was Bubba. He started within the top 10, and as the long run would go on, man, he faded back pretty quickly. I don't think he finished in the top 10, I don't even think he finished top 15. And that was really shocking to see. I thought he could maybe even get a top 5 or top 3. He was super good there last year, super fast before he had his pit road issue. So that was kind of discouraging to see. But Bubba's still in the playoffs as of now, 30 to the good in points, and I think he'll continue to have a good year. I don't know if Chicago Street Course is going to be a place where he runs very well, but we'll see. After the end of stage 1, Byron comes out of the pits in the lead, and I want to say shout out to Byron's pit crew once again. I mean, they've been the story of pit road all year long in a good light. They have delivered continuously, and they've got something going there, and I think that's going to help him tremendously as the year goes on as well, and it continues to pay dividends. And then while Byron's in the lead, the restart. Oh my gosh, this was one of the best restarts I've ever seen. Definitely in person, but just NASCAR in general. Martin Truex, Ross Chastain, William Byron, 3 wide for at least 3 laps, 2 or 3 laps. I mean, in Nashville, and that was awesome to see live. I wish we'd have got more of that. I know I can't believe they held on to it, and nobody wrecked all that. I mean, they come off the corner flying, and it literally looks like I don't know how they didn't, to be honest with you. I guess it's just where these cars have so much grip, and it takes skill. I mean, when you're 3 wide like that, going that fast, it was very impressive. Nobody wrecked, and it was very impressive. Ross didn't do anything stupid. He didn't overstep his bounds or nothing. He had a solid, pretty much. I mean, can I say that no controversy happened? I mean, that's pretty impressive. Then after that battle, Tyler Reddick, who had just pitted, which what I said had looked like the best car up until this point, loses a wheel and spins onto pit road. That was not the greatest thing for him. Obviously, he never got his track position back where he wanted it to be, and just sucks for those guys. They had a good run going, and to see it end like that, not the best look there. Penalty or no penalty for that, and it was 1 in a million chance that when he lost that wheel, he was coming onto pit road. I think NASCAR made the right call in not giving him the 2-lap penalty and the suspensions, because the wheel, I mean, it went to the pit wall, but it didn't go flying down pit road or nothing like that. I think NASCAR made the right call there. Now on to, honestly, the most talked about and eventful part of this race, in my opinion, and that is the crazy restart that happened. Everyone, Denny, it was Denny, Brad Keselowski, Bubba, and Martin Truex had stayed out and lapped the whole field during green flag pit stops. So, therefore, all the other cars that were on the lead lap and running up front had to take the wave around. And it really screwed things up, to be honest. I mean, it was good for those guys that hadn't pitted. But for everybody else, screwed things up. And, cars that are normally in the back were up front. And just that's the way they were scoring them. And Brad Keselowski ends up, I don't know if he missed the shift, lost the shifter, or what happened. I don't know if he lost it when Byron bumped into him or what happened, but he ends up just not up to speed, and everybody stacks up, and Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch are the ones who get the bad end of the stick there. Not as much Kyle Busch as Ryan Blaney. Blaney goes spinning through the grass and thinks he has it saved, tries to get it straightened back out, and ends up plowing the concrete wall, which in the part of the track that didn't have a safer barrier or anything, that car crumbles. The front of the car crumbles. Blaney said biggest hit of his life. And he wasn't going that fast, so that's really concerning to me. I mean, when you're running, no matter how fast you run, you go straight into concrete, that's going to hurt. So I think Nashville needs to get it together in that regard about if the wall's not long enough for safer barriers, get something there to soften the blow. That was just imagine if a car hits it going full speed, how bad it would be. I don't want to think about that, but I mean, I don't know how NASCAR or Nashville missed this. Obviously not something we want to see again, and that goes for any other track also, that don't have safer barriers on any part. I thought, honestly, I guess it's just like a common sense thing. I thought every part of a wall in every NASCAR track had to have them. And that's just something I assumed, which is obviously wrong. I guess that's what I get for assuming. But definitely a situation that could have been a lot worse, and we are thankful and glad that it was not. So I'd like NASCAR to look into that, and I know they will. They're already working on it. Blaney said he would pay for it himself if he had to. That's not going to happen. NASCAR will get this together and do what is needed, and I got no doubts on that. After that hard hit, we regroup and restart, and the next restart was normal. No wrecks or stack ups or nothing like that. And Denny Hamlin goes on to win the second stage. I think that's his fourth stage win this year, and was awesome to see in person as a Hamlin fan. I started getting giddy and thinking to myself, man, I just predicted this. This is my 20th race going to, hoping Denny would win, and he hasn't. And it didn't work out this time either, but I was starting to feel myself a little bit and starting to get a little giddy. He led a lot of laps, though. That was good to see. Good speed for all Toyotas, as I said earlier, and that was a shock to nobody, or not a shock to me at least. And I think he was on the long run kind of struggled. But I think Denny, speaking of Denny, I think, with his road course racing at Sonoma, with his speed, I think he could be a contender in Chicago. I know he's not necessarily favored as a street racer, but I think it'd be interesting to see. And I think anybody could win this thing, honestly. But we'll talk about that on a little bit later. And Kevin Harvick, who continues to carry Stewart-Haas Racing this year. I mean, he's the only one that's ever doing anything, it seems like. I know Priest led some laps at Martinsville, but that's just because he started on the pole. And but Harvick, man, he's been carrying them like crazy and continued to do that again tonight. I think he was up to the top 5. He was in 4th and just has a flat tire knock him out of a good finish. He ends up finishing outside of the top 20. That was bad for him. You know, he put together a pretty good night there for him in that peach Busch car, and that was a nice car there. That was pretty cool car, and just stinks to see him go out like that in Nashville. I think, you know, if he keeps running like this, I don't see any reason why he couldn't win a race. You take a place like Richmond or Michigan where he won last year, and you're thinking, man, this guy could do it. I know nobody else in that organization is running anywhere where they want to be right now, but Harvick is doing it and doing it pretty good. And so good for Harvick. You know, I thought a caution might come out for Harvick, but it never did. He limped his way around there, and Ross Chastain ends up winning in Nashville for his first win of the year, 3rd career win. First win since Talladega of last year, and those guys finally put together a full race where nothing controversial happened, and just tied it together, and good for Trackhouse. You know, you all know I'm a Denny fan, and you know him and Ross's history, obviously, but good for them. You know, he was bound. I mean, lately he's been off, it seems like, but I think that's just because of his cars. Earlier in the year, he was consistently fast. You definitely thought he was going to win 1, maybe 2 races this year. I could still see that happening. But pretty cool of him to go in the crowd. That was cool to see, like Blaney did at the Coke 600. And I don't see those guys slowing down, to be honest with you. Pit crew was on fire. They're running well right now, and that's, you know, any time a guy runs well, the field kind of like, if I was in the field, I'd kind of be worried. So just keep an eye on Ross, and we'll see what he does. See if he does anything that the owners don't like or anything. With the street course coming up, you know, people are saying it's going to be impossible to pass. You know, after this non-controversial night, it would be something if he went in there and did something completely off the wall, which wouldn't shock anybody, I don't think, at this point. But pretty good race at Nashville. I know some people were bored because of not a lot of wrecks, but in my opinion, you don't have to have a lot of wrecks to have good racing. I looked around, and at any time I wanted to, I could see a 2-wide battle. Or, you know, even if it was back in the field, it wasn't necessarily always for the lead. And, you know, it's hard to pass there. The guy said it was hard to pass, but it was a good race. I'll definitely be back. And now we're on to the Chicago street course. I might be in the minority here, but I'm kind of excited to see what this offers. Now, if they go around and run single file all race and there's absolutely no passing, I might reconsider this. And apparently they signed a 3-year deal for this race. So let's hope it's good. Let's hope it's not boring. That's what I'm going into hoping for. Just interesting, just to see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, maybe after the 3-year contract, bring back Chicagoland. Mile and a half with this next-gen car, Chicagoland would be amazing. And that is something that I really look forward to if that were to happen. But for now, we got the street course. Let's see how it goes. And my team to beat for the Chicago street course. You know, that's really hard. Don't really think there's going to be a dominant team, to be honest, and I could be totally wrong, but that's just my opinion. Instead of a team to beat, I'm going to give you some drivers that I think will have good runs, and it's several that usually don't. Michael McDowell, road racer, really good at road racing. He's only got one career win. That was the Daytona 500 a couple years back, but always runs well on road courses, has respectable speed. Street course, I don't think it's going to be any different for him. I think he's going to be a top player all day long. And also, this one is no shock to anybody, A.J. Allmendinger. Both of those guys, I could see it coming down to those two, to be honest. Both road course ringers, both guys that I feel like will love the street course, and it'll lend their hand towards them. Third, I'm going to say it would not shock me if Chase Elliott wins this thing. You know, you got your NASCAR's most popular driver coming to Chicago for the first time. He's good on road courses. Hasn't really shown race-winning speed all season that he's raced. But I could see him very easily, you know, running third, and the other two guys take themselves out of the race and him winning it on the last lap. I could totally see that happening. You know, Chase hasn't won on a road course in a little bit, but I could see him winning. So those are a couple guys. I'll also shout out Austin Cindric as a guy to watch. I know he was dreadful at Sonoma, but I could see him doing well. I'm just thinking of my road course ringer guys. Guy that's not, you know, some people say he's a road course ringer. He had a really dominant stretch of road courses there in 2021 and then won last year at Watkins Glen. Kyle Larson's another guy to watch. I don't know how he'll really, I mean, he can race anything. He can race any track, any car, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does well. I don't think he'll win this week. Then I mentioned Denny earlier. Denny, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex. Martin Truex took the field by storm at Sonoma. You know, there's no reason that speed couldn't come back. But ultimately, my race winner, I'm going to pick Michael McDowell to take home the win at Chicago. And that would be a heck of a way to shake up the playoff standings for sure. That would knock Suarez out, knock Bowman down farther on the cutoff line. I think this will be our first kind of surprise winner since Ricky Stenhouse Jr. took home the Daytona 500. We haven't had an upset like that this year. So I'm going to go Michael McDowell. Street course is a wild card, you know. And I say all this, and we could come back next week and Kyle Larson's one, Chase Elliott second, and Martin Truex is third. You know, but I'm just giving you what I predict. I'm predicting a wild card winner in a wild card race, and that is Michael McDowell. I think he wins, gets his way into the playoffs for Front Row Motorsports in that 34 car. And I'm going to think he does it pretty dominantly, to be honest with you. I think whoever is in the lead is going to lead. Like whoever starts up front is going to lead the most laps. That's another prediction. Just don't think there's very many passing zones here from what I've seen and heard. And I think Michael McDowell takes this one home. That's going to shock some people. Some people think I'm crazy. We'll see what really happens. But Michael McDowell is my pick to be the winner of the Chicago Street Course first ever race in NASCAR. So we'll see how that ends up. Now on to my favorite segment of the week, and that is Question of the Week. And this one comes from a listener of the podcast, and they say, I see you have posted some iRacing clips on your TikTok account. What was your favorite NASCAR video game growing up as a kid? And first of all, I want to say iRacing is in a complete league of its own. The realism, it's insane. If you if you buy the setup to get into iRacing, no NASCAR video game is going to be the same again. That's just facts. At least it is with me. I tried to play NASCAR Heat the other day, and I feel like it's useless. I mean, it doesn't feel as real at all. And that's not to hate on NASCAR Heat or anything like that, because I played that game a lot too. Me and my son really loved that game. But I'm being honest with you. As far as other ones, I'm going to go either NASCAR Thunder 2003 with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the cover. on the PS1, and that was a game that I probably played the most in my life. I was little and was into NASCAR. I lived in North Carolina at the time, and I was obsessed with NASCAR just like my kid is now. And I played it a lot on that game. My mom says that every time she hears Magic Carpet Ride, that is what pops in her head is me playing that on the PlayStation 1. So I'll have to go with that one. And also, NASCAR '08, I think it was. Or maybe it was '09. One of the two. Whichever one had Elliott Sadler on the cover in the 38 M&M's car. That was one that me and my brother and always played. That was awesome. I remember playing two-player on that all the time. That was really something that got me back into NASCAR. And I enjoyed it. So, I mean, any NASCAR video game you can play is going to be amazing. They always are, but those are the two that stand out to me. Actually, you know what? It's NASCAR '07. I'm pretty sure it is NASCAR '07 that Elliott Sadler is on the cover of, but that is my second answer. Number one would be NASCAR Thunder 2003. I think it was just because that was my first taste of NASCAR. And so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that answer, and hope you enjoyed the pod. And let's go street racing in Chicago and see where this ends up. We'll see how much there is to recap, and I'm sure it'll be a great event for everybody there. And everybody watching on TV, I think the atmosphere will be cool too. So until next week, this is JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast, and thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it.